or whatever your video games are. Happiness is, that's what I was thinking. Driving in the Jeep today, top off, and I look over at my Mountain Dew as I'm driving with the top off. I'm listening to some Wasp, and I'm like, this makes me happy.
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool.
My kids telling me they love me. That makes me happy. Doing the show with the crew, the fellas, makes me happy. That Mountain Dew in my hand, wind blowing in the hair. I had a hat on, but anyway, let's like.
Still blowing, though.
Yeah, so let us know. RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. Happiness is what?
Yeah, what's your happy place? I like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, what's your happy place?
What's your happy place?
Because when I drive my Jeep, this is maybe I'm revealing too much. It's either I'm super pissed or I'm trying to get happy or I'm just happy. Because driving around with your top off, man.
That's pretty.
Riding a motorcycle, like these are things that can make me happy.
Yeah, my happy place has something to do with Virginia Vinet bringing me 2 pitchers of beer while I'm sitting on her.
Yeah, your happy place is golf.
It really was. I was actually thinking about it yesterday after about my 3rd 3-putt. And instead of breaking the club over my thigh like I'm Bo Jackson, I thought, I'm outside. I'm hanging out with my buddy Sam. We're having a good time. I met a guy that went to Indiana University and played golf out there and was crushing the ball and was jealous of his swing. But it's like, yeah, this is cool. I'm not at work. Brain's turned off.
Yeah.
I'm kicking it with my homie.
Yeah.
And we're just swinging the clubs, man. It is. It's the skate park. It's the golf course. It's honestly like my couch and just TV and my lady doing nothing. Those are some happy places for me.
Nice.
Turning the brain off. That's where I'm happiest. Stop thinking for once. All right. I do want to think about those 4 players we mentioned on the other side. Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, DeVaughn Vele, and Audric Estime.
Okay.
Of that group, who takes the biggest step? And I'm basing this question off of something I heard Sean Payton say, or really was asked about, and in response about what he wants to see from Marvin Mims to take that next step.
We saw him take a big step middle of the year. I think you're going to see those type of ascensions with players like Troy. I mean, there's a number of young players competing for not so much spots, but competing for touches. And, he's one of them.
So you and I said, hey, that gadget stuff kind of, at least of Marvin fully being in the running back position, that's probably over now with the addition of R.J. Harvey, and that's okay. It's probably better that way. End around, some stuff like that. Screens with those end arounds in motion to keep the defense guessing when he gets moving in motion would be fun to see. But Cecil, I also want to say this. He mentions Troy Franklin there. Will Marvin Mims' step forward be hindered because Sean Payton wants Troy Franklin to take such a step forward?
Here's the question with Marvin. Is he already typecast?
By coach or by the league?
By coach.
Okay.
By coach. Is coach like, well, yeah, but last year what had happened is we had to do that. This year we don't have to do that because of R.J. Harvey, because of actual Joker Evan Ingram. Like, they don't need Marvin Mims to be the Joker. So is coach going to perhaps take some stuff away from Marvin? He's an angry little fella. I wouldn't do that to Marvin. I would never doubt Marvin Mims. So I hope that's not the case, and it is, Sean. So I doubt it's the case, but you never know. You always have to assume rational coaching, and that's kind of dangerous sometimes in the NFL. Feel good that it's Sean, but I don't want him to typecast Marvin and be like, well, he had to do that last year. This year doesn't need to do that, so he won't. And then he won't do more. And then trying to force Troy because he's the guy that called George Payton at 6:30, like, hey, I got the guy. He's going to be there right there. We got to get Troy Franklin. And DeVaughn Vele. Mace's notes, again, Vele's learned how to run routes.
That's huge.
If that's truly the case, Vele was the star yesterday.
Really?
Vele was the star.
Would you say that's all he was missing last year?
He's never going to be the fastest guy. He's got good concentration.
If you can use leverage.
Doesn't know leverage, but that was last year. And I've always said on this show, like, I need to put my eyes on Vele because I'm going off of old information.
Yeah.
Well, the new information, upgrades, update, it is DeVaughn Vele 2.0. And if he has learned how to run routes and use leverage, look out.
Because you don't have to be the fastest guy or the most athletic guy if you have that skill.
And that's where Pat Bryant can come in. But we talk a lot about Pat Bryant. He's behind DeVaughn Vele. If Vele performs, and again, it's one day of practice, but going off of Mace's notes, is Vele's learned how to run routes, and that's scary, dangerous. And it's bad news for everyone else.
Wow. I mean, if that's the case, because my answer to this, of the group that we're talking about, it was either Mims or Franklin. And based on
it would have been Mims for me.
And Mims is probably the leader in the clubhouse for me, too.
Yeah.
But then you hear Sean mention Franklin by name, and that's not by an accident.
No.
That's by design.
Right.
And then you hear from you via Mace what he's seeing and how good. We all watched it, too. My eyeballs told me who DeVaughn Vele was last year at training camp.
Right.
And then really right out of the gate, and then things got limited with reps and all that stuff, and then more trust in LJH than a DeVaughn Vele. So that's great news to hear. I mean, and look, we're talking about football where the injury rate is 100%. And obviously no one's rooting for that. But if you can have depth at cornerback, depth at wide receiver, depth at the interior defensive and offensive lines, which we know there's some question marks on that offensive side of it, but if you can do that, those guys are going to play. If DeVaughn Vele isn't wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 to start the season against Tennessee, I promise you he's touching the field against Tennessee in some way.
Yeah, I think it's great news for the Broncos because now it's just competition. You've got Courtland Sutton and Littering and it's just like, okay, it's who wins the job. You have a multitude of options, and I could name each one. We could go player by player and be like, this is why he won it. This is why he won it. But DeVaughn Vele may be the leader in the clubhouse, so to speak, in that opposite receiver from Courtland Sutton, with Mims being a third guy. Mims being a speed slot. I like that idea. So it actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. It might be both.
Ooh.
It might be Mims taking that step from the slot and then Vele taking that step from the outside. And it sounds like Vele's already taken a step.
Yeah. And that would be a perfect situation for a young second-season quarterback in Bo Nix. You have speed in your slot, speed on the outside, possession guy on the outside in Courtland Sutton, a guy that can eat up space in the middle of the field in Evan Ingram. Oh, and by the way, maybe R.J. Harvey figures something out in the middle of the field as well.
Yeah.
It's setting up to be pretty nice for one Bo
They're
Nix.
going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I understand all the information and all the projections. Bo's going over 4,000 this year.
We're going to be a problem.
I love when he says that.
That's right.
All right, I want to check in. Some folks are telling us their happy place. I'll get to that in just a second after I talk to you about our second annual Denver Sports Be a Mentor, Be a Fan football camp. June 1st is on Sunday, guys. So this thing is right around the corner on June 21st. If you have children between the ages of 8 and 14 looking to learn a little bit more about football or just refine some of their skills, you got to come hang out on June 21st at All City Stadium at Denver South High School. Philip Lindsay, Brandon Stokely, several coaches from Denver South and some Denver sports talent are going to be hanging out talking about football with the next generation of athletes. For more info and to register the kids, hit denversports.com/camp. And remember, all proceeds from this camp are going to benefit Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Colorado. Fun text, people telling us their happy place.
Nice.
My happy place is watching my girls play and practice so hard at softball, then watching that translate onto the field. And then for them to be watching the Women's World Series last night, the College World Series, we watched
a little bit yesterday.
And them seeing themselves playing on those fields. Dude, I don't even have kids, and that is an awesome text. You've got to experience some of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. Dude.
Yeah, when you see your kids and whatever they fall in love with, whether it's sports or choir or band, orchestra, whatever, it's awesome. It's awesome. My middle daughter, my first daughter, Katerina, my middle child, she was into color guard. So she would flip that damn flag around all over the place. I was like, that's cool. I could never do that, but that's cool.
Same thing for Matt in Aurora. Says, happiness is my family. Just plain doing nothing. Meeting Cecil last Saturday in the fan parking lot to sell him my comic collection was pretty cool.
Nice, Matt.
So Matt is a longtime listener, and his happy place is being with the family, and that is always, always good. So keep those texts coming in. We love to hear them. Love to hear where your happy place is, and that it's with your family. 303-713-1043. Let's go inside the